A very good morning, everybody, to this mixed three-quarter on day 2 of EUCF in sunny Ostend, Belgium. I'll be your host for this morning, Gigi Morrison, comfortably sitting at home but getting to watch some fantastic ultimate between these two mixed powerhouses, Tartu Turbulence from Estonia and PELT from sunny Limerick in Ireland. Both of these teams have taken a mixed bag of results so far, but I'm sure that they're both extremely excited to be able to prove themselves in these pre-quarters this morning. The winner of this game this morning will be playing against Mosquitoes in the quarterfinals later on this afternoon. So much more still conditions compared to yesterday. Anyone that was keeping up with either the streams throughout the tournament or various team social medias would be able to see how disgustingly rainy and windy it was all day. But as you can see on the screen, some sunshine just blazing across the field. Probably a crisp morning out in Oostende. So currently on screen, we've got PELT in the black and Tartu in the white kit. Tartu, hailing from Tartu in Estonia. A team that is well known for its indoor and beach prowess. In the previous European Indoor Club Championships, having gotten silver. The year before that, having gotten bronze. They're also the Estonian Indoor and Beach champions, so they have the gold medal for that. But have also proven to be really strong in the outdoor scene throughout Europe, which is fantastic to see. PELT, on the other hand, coming from Limerick, a long-standing club in Ireland, particularly in the mixed scene, but they've got both open and women's teams as well, representing both at All Irelands and at various European tournaments, not just this season, but in past seasons as well. PELT starting out on D. First pull goes up and lasers its way to the front end zone line. Immediately looking back, give go. Straight up the line, good chest reception. Having to keep the feet in, thumb on the sideline. Centers to Liliog. Surveying the options, does eventually find an option in Terra. Back to Tom. Some strong flow so far. Raba. Almost a bubble catch, but Loris holds on to it. Tartu now, meters away from the first score of the game. Dishes back. Wanting that second reception, does find it. Some players stood still in a little bit of confusion. There appears to be some sort of call in the end zone. Play is restarted. It's been called a goal, so Tartu with their first point of the game, a beautifully clean hold. PELT still trying to apply that pressure. Tartu were pushed down one particular sideline, so they didn't have very many options in terms of expanding further out on the pitch. PELT's defense just really slowing them down in that sense, but the clean and clinical offense giving Tartu their first points of the game. These two sides have faced up against each other already this season. So part of the ranking season, the vast majority of teams will probably have played against each other already. So earlier on at Summitor in Warsaw, Tartu came out on top, but only just squeaking the win. It was a 12-11 scoreline, which PELT, I can imagine, were extremely proud of. That game has certainly facilitated in getting them into the EUCF qualification, giving them those extra quality ranking points. A high grab there. But again, some good flow. Mead finds the around. Looking back again for Mead, going up the line. Fakes the force. Finds Sexton. Dishes back to McAllister. McKeown. And PELT doing a really good job in finding that first open option. The inside flick, having to go to the knees, and it doesn't come off. The first turnover of this game. Tartu with a break opportunity here. They are pinned onto the sideline. It doesn't seem to be as blustery, so it's not going to be as dangerous if it's not as forcefully upwind. Does find the first option, given the dish off, fakes the deep. Takes a different one on instead. There's two receivers underneath, but also two defenders. That was a difficult one to read in the morning sun. And PELT have been given their second opportunity at this point. They're taking their time. Mead immediately centers to Sexton. Takes the under. Looking for the dump option, but the stall count now rising. Having to go for the high stall count option. Rises up above. That was blocked. No call made. Tartu with a short field. And they take that on. The reaching grab. Giving Tartu first break. I can imagine after having faced up against each other, they've got a little bit more of awareness as to each other's tactics. And Tartu doing a great job in slowing PELT down. That first under option was not easy to take on whatsoever. They took it on with confidence, don't get me wrong. PELT doing a great job in finding some flow together. And you can see that depth and that trust and level of communication that they have as a club. But Tartu's defense just really difficult to work around. And that is a roller pull. PELT given just past the brick mark. McAllister finds the option. Sexton ripping that deep into the end zone. That is beautiful offensive work from PELT. Getting themselves on the board. Working with absolute conviction. As I mentioned, PELT, coming from Limerick, they've been a stronghold club in Ireland for quite a long time. I believe originally coming out of the University of Limerick, and a lot of these players have started and continued their ultimate journeys and careers with PELT and staying together as a club. A lot of these players having played together for so many years, that pays dividends when it comes to being able to generate flow as a team. You've got that depth and that trust that you need. So just looking at some of the past results, PELT coming out of Pool B, they finished in 3rd position after taking 1 win, but 2 losses. And Tartu, I thought I was misreading my results, because they had also taken 1 win and 2 losses, but there seemed to have been a 3-way tie in Pool C, and Tartu coming out in the 2nd position within the pool as a result of the goal difference. Fantastic job from them. They're now starting on offense. The 4th point of this game. Dishes back to the dump, wanting that dump option, but it's moving directly up the line. Has the front of stack cutting off and does receive. Saying pin to that far sideline at the moment. This PELT defense really not wanting to slow down, having to apply pressure on that deep shot, but Tartu coming out on top instead. What seems to be some simple offense is actually just clean and clinical. Again, PELT really keeping Tartu pinned on that far sideline. Tartu wanting to churn those open unders as much as possible. And they did have some swing and around break opportunities. But again, the force really shutting that down. Within Pool B, PELT took some strong results. They lost 11-14, 14-11, whichever way around you'd like it, to Deep Space. Deep Space currently in one of the other quarterfinals. They finished top of the Pool B. Losing to Disconnection as well, 15-14, so on Universe, and 15-8 to Hex. So that win is what helped secure them into these pre-quarters this morning. But now continuing on offense, finding the central person, McKeown, with the inside flick. Beautiful throw. Faking the around. Oh, defender almost getting in the way to McAllister, but finds that inside shot to Mead. PELT, fantastic job on offense. Score now 3-2 in Tartu's favor. I think if PELT keep up that kind of offensive fire, that will certainly keep them on the board and keep them churning through this game. And throughout the previous ranking season, Tartu actually claimed the wildcard spot at a tournament that PELT was also at. So at the Summer Tour in Warsaw, Tartu came out on top and secured their spot for Euros. Now wanting to secure a spot in the quarterfinals. Tartu on offense. Has the deep option, but fakes it off. Looking for the up line. Does find it. Limber shoots deep for Tam. Utilizing that height, the back corner of the end zone. There has been a travel call further up the field. You can see how well spaced out Tartu are. They're providing plenty of options for each other. Lintz just making sure that this gets back to the right thrower. Checked back in. Lintz going up line, but instead takes the round. Quick bobble. Bello not able to hold on. PELT with their first break opportunity. And Sexton just shepherding around backhand to Murray. Back to Sexton, but again, quick bobble off the hands. Tartu, second chance. Lintz on the far sideline. Apologies, that's not Lintz. That throw almost going into the backfield puddle. PELT set up in a vertical stack, taking their time. Getting the first cut churning from the back of stack. But a few of them have now sliced off. Some of the structures crumbled a little bit. Does eventually find an option in Kelly. Tartu with a short field. Again, wanting to take their time. Limber has the around. Two receivers floating just outside the back of the pitch. And a fair few turnovers. We're starting to see some early morning tired legs. It's not easy being on this first game in the mornings. Trying to get yourself, your body to wake up and stay switched on. It's going to be a long day for these teams. Poach peeling off, trying to shut down Murray. Swung into the middle of the pitch, just tipped off into Sexton's hands. A pick will stop that flow. Disc check back in. Trying to look for a dump option. The stall count now rising. Finds the inside flick to the front of stack. Sexton getting the disc every other. Mitchell looking for the inside out backhand. Looking for Wilson, but has given Tartu another opportunity. There's a few deep options going. Takes the safer dump instead. Back central. Tom. Has the option he wanted. Somebody going deep, having to reach out. But just off the fingertips. That would have been a heroic grab. There has been an injury substitution called. So both sides opting to swap some players off. And Pelton, arguably one of the most difficult positions of the pitch. Much closer to this front end zone corner. Having to get themselves unpinned, and Tartu wanting to bracket this stack. Stall count already rising. Some negative meters in the end zone, but they do have the available option in Sexton, wanting to look deep. Beautiful lead shot up the line. Passing to and fro between each other, Pelt finding that flow. But instead straight into Tartu's hands. That was a good peel-off option. Isolated deep, but the throw perfectly weighted into the chest. I misread that. Takes the quick dish off. Making the score now 4-2. Fair few turnovers in that point. We're starting to see some options falter. Some early on mistakes and some of the cracks starting to show. I'd love to see Pelt bringing back that offense where they were much more spread out, utilizing more of the pitch. I'm not entirely sure whether it was some semblance of a horizontal stack or Felix Schreidlow's favorite form of offense, something akin to a hex, where they were able to push and pull between certain offensive cutters, give each other much more space in that sense. Because a vertical stack can pay dividends. It has its merit and its worth when it comes to getting closer to the end zone. But if you're utilizing that in the front end zone line like we saw there, in that point in particular, they were able to generate some flow at times, but it required them to create a significant amount of space for each other. Otherwise, Tartu were just going to bracket. That throw sails over the top of the receiver, but instead into McAllister's hands, looking. That sails to ground. I love that option. That should definitely be taken on, but we're seeing already that's at least the third turnover that we've seen in that end zone. Is not proving, or it's proving to be a very difficult throw to execute. Tartu with another break chance. And they've set up in again what seems to either be a horizontal or a push-pull circumstance, but a quick bubble out the hands. Is Pelt the short field. Mead picks up and centers. Quick dish off. McKeown is isolated. There seems to have been a call. But dish check back in. No issues. Quick dish over the back. Fancy feet, but that has been called out by some of the Tartu players. Pelt wanted to call that in immediately. You were seeing a split of opinion from the teams. McAllister assuring that he was in. But Tartu also calling it in. That's now a point for PELT. Bring it up to 4-3. PELT given that short field after a quick turnover from Tartu. So a hold, not a clean hold for PELT, but giving themselves another point on the board. They did seem to provide a bit more space for each other. They do seem to have quite similar offensive structures in that sense of the hex almost horizontal stack. Unsure entirely what it is. Definitely have to watch it over a few more points to ascertain exactly what it is, but it works so well. Really churning through the middle and making sure that the disc stays in that space rather than trying to keep it pinned on one certain sideline. If both teams can keep that up, it's going to be difficult to slow down. Tartu wanting to get set up, started quickly. PELT with a poach off the handlers, almost sagging. Trying to force them under by the looks of it. And Tartu taking that in stride. Working their way most of the way down the pitch already. A quick pick call. And that was called before the throw. Although some players are signaling a retraction. And the general ruling, if you call a pick, the disc has been released and there is a turnover. If you don't believe that turnover has been affected by the pick, then you can retract the pick call and it results in the turn. But in this circumstance, the turnover was affected by the fact that multiple players were stopped. And this does seem to be a bit more of a traditional horizontal stack from Tartu. Now on this sideline, the force really slowing them down. That stall count is rising, having to take that quick inside shot, bobble, and caught! Staying on the ground almost in disbelief that they were able to receive that. 5-3 now, a 2-point buffer. Giving Tartu that extra bridge, that extra element. And PELT having switched to a force under defense. So trying to push the cutters in towards the disc, but have a sag off of the handlers. I am a fan of the handler sag. I definitely think that they can utilize that. Maybe not as much in the horizontal stack set. If Tartu are utilizing some sort of hex style offense, then having a handler sag can really get in the way. When it comes to this horizontal stack where the wind isn't as strong, is not going to slow down Tartu as effectively as they'd like to in this circumstance. PELT with another chance. Also choosing to go with his horizontal stack set. Has McAllister on the sideline. McKeown goes up line, catching the high backhand dish. Beautiful around break. And some confident work from PELT on this offense. Inside flick. Beautiful stuff. Quick bobble. Just a slight lapse of concentration on that. Unfortunately, it happens to everybody. It happens to the best of players. Tartu with another break chance. It looked like they almost had some sort of set play that they wanted, but not able to come off. Wanting to find that option, do find a dump. Takes on that deep, having to come back under, and again, that slight lapse of concentration causes the drop bubble. PELT allowing themselves to get set up. Have a few people in that back handler space, but not able to communicate. A miscommunication between the dump and the disc. At the brick mark. Teta. Looking to end zone. Multiple defenders in the way. And we're seeing some early morning miscommunications here. Hopefully they can clean things up. McAllister. To Mead. Dish over the top, wanting to get that second reception, unable to, but straight back into force instead. Liliog. The rising flick, and then the quick dish into the front end zone corner, giving Tartu another break. The score now 6-3. And we're seeing that distinction of conviction between the teams. Tartu, whenever they get the turn, they are commanding of it. They are forcefully taking it for themselves. There are a fair few turnovers, granted. But as we see in that circumstance, immediately as the turn comes up, they pick up the disc and they want to get moving. They're not allowing PELT to be caught sleeping at all. Quite rightly, these teams are taking a timeout, taking a quick break. Well deserved. Out of the timeout, PELT. Going to be starting on offense. Be interesting to see how they approach this next phase of the game. So far, Tartu wanting to snaffle any opportunity that they can from PELT. That pull, well fielded by Sexton. Immediately getting things moving. But a slight lapse again of concentration. Tartu wanting this bobble off the chest, just bounced off the back. And PELT wanting to answer back with their own quick pickup, getting things moving. I definitely think that's the right option for them. They're definitely athletic enough to just keep churning through. Taking that deep option on McKeown is there. Fantastic grab. Has a few receivers. Fantastic second, third effort. Able to keep that up. My goodness. Dinkenhug into the end zone. Quick snatch. Ooh. That was a point of second and third efforts, but that just shows that they do not give up whatsoever. As soon as that disc is up, they are getting bodies underneath it. They are making sure that their fingertips are as close as they possibly can legally be to that disc. Beautiful effort from PELT. And Tartu also wanting to get everything churning as quickly as possible. Just bouncing off of the chest again. It happens to absolutely everybody. But PELT now narrowed the gap to within 2 points. It now sitting at 6-4. I mentioned earlier on, Tartu got the wild card spot. Within the ranking system, they are placed at 7th. So very much above the average within the pack. They have a 6-5 record across 2 tournaments. And that has allowed them to get that wild card spot, earn them their place here at EUCF. Terra finds Tam. Able to dump off. Getting closer to the center. Now stuck on this close sideline, Rabah. Backhand dish off. Trying to find the center, finds a dump instead. In Linz. Bounced off the fingertips. Maroney in with the flying bid. Gets the D. PELT on the brick mark. A much shorter field. Sexton looks for Maroney, then goes immediately up the line. Grabs that out the air. Dishes back to Maroney. And between the two of them, they are able to convert it for themselves. PELT in with their first break and bringing it within 1. And almost like they read Tartu's energy from the previous points of pick it up, go, let's earn this for ourselves, get firing, we know what we can do. PELT have answered back for themselves and it has paid off so well. Tartu's offense was doing a fantastic job. They were able to get some really solid flow between each other. But that flying bid from Maroney, just really securing that D. And on the other side of the ranking discussion, so PELT also still a very good, I can't find words this morning, a really solid outcome from the ranking system, having finished 11th. So they qualified at Summer Tour in Warsaw. They have a 7-4 record wins to losses and bringing that with them into Euros for this pre-quarter. But Tartu now on offense, finding the deep shot in the end zone that they wanted. They take it on, utilize that height and the span that they know they have. It's now 7-5, within one of taking half here. You'll have seen throughout the tournament many of the scores from yesterday in particular didn't necessarily reach the full points cap, which is quite unusual. The vast majority of games will hit the 15-point score cap, but we saw much fewer than that, and that was purely down to the conditions. Thankfully, it seems to be much brighter, much more still this morning. I imagine a lot of the players are wanting to dry off their boots and their kit in this sunshine. It looks like a timeout has been called. Players able to just reset themselves. Coming out of this timeout, Tartu pull, charging their way down, wanting to take this first half nice and quickly. But PELT answer with that beautiful deep shot. There are two defenders in the way, looking for Pesh, but instead find Tam. The streaking cutter across the pit. Pins Tartu on the sideline. Answering with their own deep shot. They find Norman. Liliog into the end zone for the first half. The score now at 8-5. After a bit of a shaky first quarter of the game from both sides, a few turnovers, just causing a bit of a ruckus is really the only thing only way I can describe it. Both sides have been able to smooth things out. Maybe the toast and the coffee or the tea has been able to digest properly and get fired into the system, allow them to get a bit more switched on. And coming out of this second half, PELT have a few more points to answer to. They are down 8-5. First half of this pre-quarterfinal in the mixed division. Welcome back to the second half of the pre-quarter final of EUCF in the mixed division. Tartu Turbulence versus PELT. PELT starting on offense in this second half here. Tartu having taken the first half 8-5. And a shaky start from both ends allowed them to iron out in the second quarter. And hopefully they can bring that into the second half here. Bit of quick stoppage of play to slow things down a bit. PELT having quite a deep vertical stack, it looks. Either that or the stoppage has just prevented people from cutting back under into position. Play almost restarted, but a violation will stop that. But now it's back into play. Sexton was looking for McKeown, but instead finds Mead. That was almost in the face, so I'm not surprised that that went to turf instead. The Tartu, the first break opportunity of this second half, looking deep. Beautifully sat into the chest. Into Loritz. And that conviction that I spoke about in the first half, Tartu have brought it in abundance. Score now 9-5 in Tartu's favour. Both these teams have got a fair few more games to go under their belt. Whoever wins this pre-quarter final will go into the quarters to play against Mosquitoes later on this afternoon. And then the winner of that will be playing, of course, in the semi-final. And that would be against whoever wins the quarter-final, that is playing against TFC Taucher. Of course, in the mixed division, we're playing by ABBA gender rules. This also applies to the pulling, so whichever gender is of the majority gets to pull. A rule I'm a massive fan of personally. PELT going with a side stack. McKeown. Beautiful inside flick and well received. One answering back into the end zone. PELT secure themselves their 6th point of the game. Really utilizing that inside break option. Finding McKeown in the end zone with that beautiful inside flick. And that's something that they should definitely keep utilizing. The break side is one of the most difficult options to execute as a thrower, but it's certainly one of the most useful as well. It's why teams try to shut it down. It makes sense. But being able to break the force opens up a whole other side of the pitch to try and work through and just spreads the offense wide open.
So that side stack from PELT also proved to be effective. It isolates an individual player rather than keeping the entire vertical stack within the center of the pitch, and that pull floats into the palms. Tartu answering with their own side stack. Looking deep. Terra. Dishes back to Tom. Dishing between the two of them. Baraba just outside the end zone for Tartu. Players taking a fair amount of time to get themselves set into the stack, but do eventually find that beautiful inside backhand. And some bodies clashing into each other causes a stoppage. Just some discussion to figure out exactly what happened. But everything seems to be resolved. Disc will be checked back in. What looked to be a hand block was, in fact, an accepted foul. Maroney on force, really wanting to get the D, but instead Tartu execute with perfection. The score now at 10-6. They're getting ever closer to the points cap. Now 58 minutes into the game. And some of the other pre-quarters going on. We've got Disconnection versus Sky This from Warsaw. Disconnection currently up 9-7. A clash of UK teams. Reading versus Glasgow. Reading currently up 10-3. And Padova Rangers versus Savage. Savage is currently up 10-3 as well. So we've got some closer scorelines and some larger gaps between the other pre-quarters in the mixed division this morning. In this field will be Iceni versus Bristol in the pre-quarters as well. In the next game slot. So stay tuned for that one. That should be exciting as well. The run through from Liliog. Players stop. There appears to be a discussion of a foul. It seems to be contested in this circumstance. The PELT player maybe felt that there was contact as they were cutting underneath, trying to get into position, which allowed for Tartu to get the run-through block. And McAllister marches up, receiving the disc again. PELT starting out on offense after that discussion, that stoppage. Disc will be coming back in from the original stall count to maximum of 6. You can see how they're set up. They're giving each other a lot of space to cut in. Really trying to isolate each other, but they're able to get off of the sideline. Sexton. Looking for options. Has eyes on McKeown, but the stall count is rising. Takes the high, floaty backhand. Multiple players underneath, but well caught. Fakes up the line, takes the inside instead. Scully. That's McKeown. McKeown with a beautiful inside. My goodness, McKeown has some inside flicks for days. Wanting to take their time, but Scully just bobbles the disc out the hands. The high stall count, really frustrated at the lack of options. And Tartu almost confused at what had happened there. And that flick. Beautifully sat out to Loritz. Varblas. Wanting the flick option down closer to the end zone, but picked off by PELT. Giving them another opportunity. Another stoppage upfield. It appears to be an injury substitution. Just double checking that everyone's okay. The PELT set up in this horizontal stack set. Now transitioning to a vertical. Having to go to ground, but not able to reel that one in. Having to immediately dash back up onto force. And Tartu are on their way to the end zone. Going for the quick passes, but almost too quick for each other. Are able to get that second reception, but it looks like there was going to be a pick. Or maybe some contact at the front of stack. Unfortunately, it's a little bit more difficult to see when there's not a usage of hand signals here. Regardless, the disc is going back into Norman's hands. Check back in. Takes the front of sack option, goes immediately back up line. Darren Scully able to tip that, but there has been a foul and it's uncontested. Liliog checks in, fakes the hammer, but goes for the backhand dish into the front end zone line. This buffer now extending, almost extending. It was a call at the, on the disc, I believe. Tartu still have some work to do. Instead, take a simple flick shot. Now a 5-point buffer between them. 11-6 to Tartu. I believe that's a wild Lorcan Murray joining PELT. Is that a hands on hips in disappointment or in surveying? Nobody knows. Lorcan is an enigma. And an enigma that may be able to provide some words of wisdom in this timeout. PELT with 6, and Tartu with 11. Will PELT be able to claw their way back into this pre-quarter game? The breeze beginning to pick up just that little bit more coming out of this timeout. You can see by the flags back there, they're blustery, nowhere near as blustery as yesterday. 45-mile-an-hour gusts for most of the day, as well as some torrential rain. The emphatic hands of Lorcan Murray really trying to fire up his fellow Limerick teammates. And that pole rolls, having to get sprint fielded. Sexton looking for options, does find McKeown. Looking deep to Scully. Scully would have had to make a heroic bid to get onto that, but the edge of the disc just caught the wrong side of the wind. And Limba walking it into the front end zone corner. Takes the isolated player in the middle of the pitch. Dished off between the two of them. Also looking deep, trying to find Tam. That is going to soar, having to go to ground, but not able to hold on. Tartu with the break opportunity, now lost, but PELT almost getting the factory reset on this point. Poach off of the handler. They are free. Well, they were free. They aren't anymore. An uncontested strip. I was going to say, I did see them catch that. It seemed to almost glide out of their hands. Sexton. To McAllister. Finds McKeown. 3 players that we've mentioned time and time again for this PELT O-line. They've collapsed and melted into this vertical stack. But the cut staying too shallow. Not quite getting close enough to the disc, but Scully does find his way under. And that is sent into the end zone deep. Plucked out of the sky. Some hands on knees. I can see how exhausted they are. It's now 11-7 as we're getting ever closer to time cap. The first game of the morning, already some tired legs beginning to creep in. It was a long and exhausting day yesterday. Of course, Euros is a 3-day tournament. So most teams will have 3 to 4 games on the Saturday and Sunday each. On the Friday and Saturday each, apologies. And at least 1 game on the Sunday. But with some windy and rainy conditions on day 1, that will sap a significant amount of energy out of the players. So I'm not surprised that they are already exhausted. First game this morning. It's been some tough and tight competition. We saw a huge amount of games, particularly for pool play, going to Universe Point across all divisions. I counted at least 4 in the women's division and at least 3 in the mixed. I haven't been able to see much in the open division, but there were a few certainly. And if games are going to Universe Point and pool play, then it's certainly a tight pool of teams here at Euros. Which is fantastic to see, but I can imagine as a player it is exhausting. Tartu on their way, able to find some fantastic up the lines. Raba having to go high Dera. Finding these two again. They were gloved hands. Really securing the disc in. Dish off to Tom. We're just outside the end zone. I cannot see what is happening. Hopefully everyone is okay. It was probably for the best that it wasn't seeing what was happening. As somebody has come off for an injury substitution. Let's check back in. Player is able to move back into position. Well, there is a violation call. Loritz with the disc in hand. Just a few meters outside the end zone. The stack now melting back into place, looking for a dump option. The stall count rising ever further. Looking for the hammer instead. Takes it on, having to go to knees, but well received. Tartu now up 12-7. I love a hammer. Love a hammer option. These are great conditions to throw hammers in, and particularly when you're a team that is well known for playing some strong indoors. Do it. Tartu having gotten silver at the last European Indoor Club Championships. They're also the Estonian Indoor Champions. So whilst they have height on their side, they are able to utilize the skills that are required of taller players and use those throws, be super expansive like we've seen with that hammer option. And a confident reception of the pull. That is somebody that is well trained in catching pulls. That is terrifying. The high disc looking for Scully initially. Flies over the top of multiple players. PELT not able to read that one. Tartu with half field. Quickly looking at the disc to make sure it's all right. Check back in. Almost a miscommunication, but going to ground, saving possession. The wind is starting to cause havoc here in Oostende as that flies out the side of the pitch, having to go for a flying bid. PELT pinned on the sideline, able to go up the line. McKeown wanted the inside flick again, something she's well known for, finding Scully instead for the around flick. Dish back. The PELT have been able to work their way off of the sideline back towards the middle of the pitch. Tartu's knee is really slowing them down. It's stopping the first simple option. Found the open side, up the line. Straight towards the end zone, but the wind has has other ideas. Sinks that down instead. looks as if there was an injury substitution, some players swapping off. I'm sure Tartu aren't too mad about that, also wanting to take their time. Play is live. So Loritz picking up for Tartu. Quick stumble of the cutter in the middle of the pitch. Tipped off the chest. PELT pick up immediately. A quick jink and jive on the open side gives PELT another point. Lorcan Murray storms the field in excellence. I hope what he said was appropriate to that player. But PELT now with 8 points on the board. Tartu's 12. I believe time cap has gone, but I'm not sure. This is something that I didn't look into myself. I probably should have looked at how long games are. And I tried to yesterday, but couldn't actually ascertain what that was. But if time cap has gone off, then it will be a game to 13. PELT with the pull. Ripping it. Wanting that first break. And Tartu have the whole length of the field to work up here. They've got the first zone that at least I've seen of the tournament. The tall stature of Mark Fanning on the force. Almost a miscommunication on the first throw, but there was on the second. PELT now with a shorter field. Quick dish off working between the end zone handlers. One of them completely unmarked. Moroni having to go to knees, wanting that second option, does take it. And PELT with their first break. It'll be interesting to see whether PELT come in with that zone again. It proved to be relatively effective, at least in giving some initial confusion to Tartu. There was a first and a second option confusion, and it caused the turnover. These are certainly the conditions to want to work with some sort of zone setup. And Tartu, anticipating a zone, have gone for 4 handlers back. Indeed, Pelt come in with the zone. Tartu dishing between the backhandlers. Raba. Loret trying to shepherd the offense, get things moving. Moving further and further back, closer to their brick mark. Wanting the dish back, finds the option in the middle. The Terra. Having to go to ground and does. Fantastic reception from Lintz. Tom. Loret. The 3 marks set at the front here across. 3 across the middle, so a middle, and 2 wings, and then 1 person in the deep space. These handler sets are trying to be relatively active, so get in the way as much as possible. Really cause confusion for Tartu. A more confident offense from Tartu on this point. Quick travel call. Plays continue. Dish over the top of the marks. Back to the front end zone line. Tartu 13 to Pelt 9. It was a much better showing from Tartu against the zone from Pelt. But wanting to come in aggressive and be really active on the marks. Try to cause not really confusion, but force some errors from Tartu at any opportunity. And it slowed them down, it certainly did. But I'd imagine being from Estonia and playing a lot of beach in particular, you're used to playing in windy conditions. You're going to play against zones a fair amount. Rolling pull. Stopped just outside the brick mark. Looking for the undercut, but didn't take it on. Instead, took on the dump. Big fakes. Force goes to ground. Finds the break side option. Sexton in the middle of the field. Accepted foul on the mark. This check back in. Inside fake goes for the Iran backhand. Without even a thought, goes back for the backhand, but bounced off of the chest. That is something we've seen across multiple players. That does seem to be quite painful for them. Hopefully they are okay. Taking the injury substitution. We've seen a few injury substitutions in this game. It's been a long season, so I'm not surprised that players are a bit more battered and beaten. Particularly some of the players who are either playing multiple sports or have played against or played at WEC, most recently in Australia. Level of conditioning having to step up even more. The under option taken. Terra. Dish is back. Immediately goes deep. Instead, the up line option is taken. A collision looking quite painful. Thankfully, they are standing up again. You always see collisions like that and have bated breath or hold with bated breath that they're okay, but play restarts with Tartu on disc. Liliorg with the high stall count centering past. Pelt's defense doing a fantastic job slowing them down and stifling them. Inside fake finds the streak instead. Terra is in the deep space. Well caught and red. Good holster, but the secondary holster was not taken on. That was tipped off, and another collision, this time in the end zone. With an immediate signaling for injury. Again, hopefully they're going to be okay. They do seem to be standing up, so that's a very good sign. The turnover stands. So Pelt have got the whole field to work. But still a very dangerous position if Tartu are able to get the turn here. Vertical stack initiated from the back. Looking for a dump as the stall count rises. Does eventually find an option. Low disc but caught just up the fingertips. Now pinned on the sideline. Finds the under option. Looking deep immediately. Tipped off. Can the second reception be there? No, that was just enough momentum off the back there, but there has been an accepted foul on the throw further back. The turnover does not stand. Instead, it'll just go back to this resulting foul. So stall count will come in on 0. The play restarts. The force smothering the round options. Another contact call. Check back in. Wanting some options, but nothing too much coming off. But Scully was there for the dump. Over to Mikion. Mitchell. Trying to look for Sexton, but that was just off of the back. Quite a few turnovers already. The battery's starting to run out. Deda having to sprint for that. Didn't quite want to go to ground, and I don't blame them. Commanding smackdown from Tartu. Pelt set up with that vertical stack. We're able to get that first cut off of the back. But Loritz peeled off. Liliog trying to find that dump. Does. But that backhand rises over the top straight into the Pelt lap. Can these offenses be cleaned up? Looking for some deep options, and that backhand has been taken on. A further collision. We're seeing a great deal of defensive pressure. Fair few run through blocks. But in terms of physical awareness, we've had 3 collisions at least in this point. And of course, I'm not there. I'm not able to see exactly what is happening on the field, what is happening with the individual players. But I would hope that this level of contact is able to clean up and they're able to be a bit more aware of what is going on. They could just be absolute coincidences where contact happens, where they genuinely did not see each other. But the fact that it's happened on multiple occasions now, I would hope that they can improve this level of contact. Judging by the fact that the disc has gone back into the original thrower's hands, there does seem to be some contested contact. So they'll be discussing at what point the stall count will be coming in again. Play restarts. Sent it over to Scully. Back over to Inkenhag. Looking deep. Has the option, and finally PELT able to reel that in. And again, being decisive now, bringing it to 13-10. At this point, it is a game to 14. So PELT will have to score a fair few more points, and it will have to be a universe point to bring them to a win. It's not out of the realms of possibility. I'm just looking at some of the other results. 2 of the other games have, at least from the results page, finished off already. The Savage have taken Padova Rangers 15-4. So Savage will be in the quarterfinal. And in the UK clash, Reading versus Glasgow, Reading have taken that 15-6. And in one of the other pre-quarters, Disconnection versus Sky this, it's currently 13-13, so also very level and even. So Deep Space will be playing Reading in the quarterfinals, and Savage will be playing Seskidistas in the other quarterfinal. But Tartu wanting to close off this game, but PELT are not quite giving up. They're on the back shoulder at every opportunity. Tartu with some expansive cuts coming under, really trying to use the whole length of the field. It's a strong tactic. Taking the dump faking the backhand around. Instead, the 7 cut provides the open, having to reach for that catch. Gloves providing some friction on the disc. Just a few meters, but the stall count rising. Do find the reset. And with conviction, taking their time and taking the deep breath. Thankfully, that point much cleaner in terms of contact and in terms of gameplay. Tartu 14 to PELT's 10. A strong showing from both sides in this pre-quarter this morning. But Tartu able to close it off. They will be playing Mosquitoes from Austria in their quarterfinal later today to try and secure a semi-final. And just some confirmation, in the other quarterfinals, Tiefsee Taucher will be playing Disconnection. So we've got Germany versus Germany, Deep Space Reading, GB versus GB in the other quarterfinals. So PELT able to reel themselves back, really bringing them close in. Hopefully they can have a strong showing in the lower bracket later on today. Absolute congratulations to Tartu for winning this pre-quarter. Thank you very much for watching. And keep your eyes peeled on for the next game, Bristol versus Iceni in the women's division pre-quarter in Oostende, Belgium.